When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Right, so we're here to do another one of our previews, and this time we're going right down south, almost as far south as we can get. We're doing the Southern Premier League with Tom Robinson from Bournemouth Cricket Club. Welcome to the pod, Tom. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Absolute pleasure. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you don't recognise the voice, you will recognise the face. Tom is also TJR.99 on TikTok. He's also TJR on YouTube, and he's done a little bit of cricket creation, shall we say, haven't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm getting back into it.
And his studio looks far flashier than mine and yours, Hugh.
Absolutely, yeah. This is why we don't put our video on for these things.
Absolutely.
We're basically in hovels compared to his.
You're saying the blanket that's behind me is from a hovel?
Well, yeah, I mean...
My missus made that.
There you go. Well, it's not an Everton flag, is it?
No, it's definitely not an Everton one in a million years, definitely so. Hey, let's have a close look at that Southern Premier League. It's a league that for most people in the country, they won't know too many of these clubs potentially. So it'd be very interesting to get the feedback from Tom on 1 or 2 of them. In very simple terms, last year the league was run by Burridge on the, I'm going to call it, quasi-complicated system that the Southern Premier League runs, but there's a very good reason behind it, which is quite an interesting one. South Wilts came second, and one of the biggest clubs around, St Cross Simeons, came third. Unfortunately, at the bottom end of the league, Tottenham Elling went down, and Bournemouth, who Tom plays, came seventh. Be interesting to get his feelings on that one from last year. But most important on these previews, has there been much movement over the winter, Tom? Has there been players coming in and out and moving around?
Yeah, there has actually. From what I'm aware of, there's probably a few which I may not know of. So have lost quite a few this winter, is what I'm being told. So George Metzger's gone back to Basingstoke, which I believe is where he grew up. Mm-hmm. They've also lost Harry Gant, who's gone to Portsmouth, and they've also lost Ben Walker, who's gone back to Bashley. So those they're massive losses. It'll be really interesting to see how they do this year, because they're a big club. Mm-hmm. They might be pretty strong in their second team, and they might be able to cope by. But those 3 in particular are quite big losses for them.
And they've got a difficult start to the season because they're at home to the champions, Burridge, from last year.
Yeah, it's a baptism of fire, I think, for the new lads, maybe that one. But then who else is left? St Cross they've lost Simon Woodruff, who's come back to us at Bournemouth. He's come back to skipper. He's spent the season away, and he's come back. Well, that's good news for us. And who else? So South Wilts have lost a couple. So they've lost probably last year their main threat bowler in Matt Burton.
Okay.
He's gone over to Bridgewater. They've also lost Jack Stearman, who's gone to Bashley. So Bashley have improved their batting this year, added a lot of talent to that batting. And Ben Walker was the last time he was there, they won the league. So it'll be interesting to see how they go this year.
So some interesting moves around the top boys, really.
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with some of the lads. There's always different overseas in our leagues and things, so always can make a big difference.
How many overseas are there at Bournemouth?
You only had 1 in your 11. in your actual team. So yeah, I'm pretty sure pretty much every team has one.
Yeah, and are you allowed a sub-pro out of interest?
No,
it's a Lancashire League thing. They'll bring a sub-pro in. There's guys floating around who are just ready to drive to somewhere in Lancashire on a Sunday, definitely. So you've mentioned South Wilts, you mentioned Bashley and Havant there. Bournemouth yourself, guys have been preparing for the season in, I think, what's becoming quite a norm for a lot of people now. You've been playing some indoor cricket as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we love a bit of indoor cricket. We use the Dorset Cricket Centre. The facilities there, in my opinion, are actually very good for indoor cricket. It keeps your eye, keeps you going. Can be a bit bouncy at times, so it makes it a bit tasty. It's like you're playing in August. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. The lads are getting around it.
Interested, it's like playing in August and then we start in late April, early May, and it's never like August, is it, Hugh?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people LBW off the back foot early doors if you've been doing that, aren't they?
Most definitely. So, how, from a club perspective, have you been trying to intersperse the indoor cricket with your normal winter nets as such?
Not particularly. Everyone kind of like, we've all played a lot of indoor cricket because you all play it from growing up. I remember playing indoor cricket when I was 8, 9 years old. So playing, you kind of learn that they are completely different games. So you try not to kind of intertwine them. We'll go and have our net sessions and we'll work on solidly what we're going to do for the summer.
Yeah.
And then indoor is just a case of, like any game of cricket, you adapt to get, to win the game that you're playing there and then.
I think Hugh's the expert on our pod when it comes to indoor cricket. Yeah, I think the word adapt's the right word, isn't it, Hugh?
Well, that's it. I mean, there's so many different variants in the country, I think, because the facilities are all different. There's not this sort of set standard like there would be in maybe South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. But it's, the game is totally different. The bounce is different. The shots you play are different. I think the thing I take from it is you can trust the bounce in indoor cricket consistently, and then you go outdoors early season and
you blame the ground.
Got to somehow work. You've got to work those shots out of your arsenal early season. You're playing across stuff, back foot, that kind of thing. But I think it sets you up for playing on quality pitches, as particularly from the kids. The kids play on basically, and I think Astro, fine if kids play on Astro and it gets a bit sneered on, but actually it's quite good for young lads playing. But yeah, they're playing on such poor pitches much of the time. So if you're moving from indoor cricket to playing on rubbish pitches, but as you go up the standard, actually, I think it benefits you more and more.
Definitely. And I think, are you streaming your games down at Bournemouth, Tom?
Yeah, all our games are streamed on YouTube and things like that.
Oh, that's definitely something for us to watch then, Hugh, isn't it? See how all these indoor cricketers come out.
That's it, yeah.
Well, at least we'll have a video to watch on Monday.
Well, and from Tom, that's the thing.
Definitely
recording him with his GoPro.
Most definitely. So, there was one club that you didn't mention in the Southern Prem, which is very unusual. There's no two ways about it to the rest of the country. You get to play against the Hampshire Academy.
Yeah, so it's certainly an away day you look forward to playing.
Mm-hmm.
You get teas.
Oh yeah. You cash in even if you get the all day game there. Our time version of cricket, even better. It's double T. So
fantastic.
But yeah, they're always it can kind of fluctuate. But recently they've been very much on a high, and their young pros are getting stronger and stronger, and their academy is certainly working. I think is
I mean, there's plenty now. I generally look through for young prospects, jumping through. But obviously, when you've got a team full of them, it's quite hard to pick out certain ones. But how do they compare? How do they go against the grizzled old Premier League lads that have been around for many years? The seamer who sticks it on a length time after time. Can they cope with that all right?
Yeah, I think that they've certainly got better over time, because 2 years ago they just lost out on the title to Supercross. They just got picked at the last. But it's very hard to tell with the academy, only because week on week their side can change quite drastically from one week to the next. They could have if they have, say, a twos game that runs starting Sunday or ends Friday, and they might be missing out some of their stronger players.
Mm-hmm.
However, you could rock up, and I think we were meant to play Hampshire Academy last week in a friendly, and Toby Albert was meant to be playing along with Dom Kelly, Eddie Jack, so some of their rookie pros and fully fledged pros. So it can vary. Lads like Mason Crane, James Vince, Liam Dawson, all those lads came from that academy. So it's a strong pool of talent.
What happens with them when they're playing a junior at your club, and then they're also in the Hampshire Academy? Do they stay with your club?
So they have like a dual. It's like a dual kind of membership, or not membership. Membership is probably kind of the right word.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Connor Smith was one for us last year and the year before, where he would, if the academy wanted him, then they would take priority, and if they didn't want him, then he would come play for us.
So you play for two clubs in the same league then?
Yeah.
That's confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be, because I think he played Havant 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. I mean, if a player knocks over the opening bat 2 weeks from two different clubs, you're a bit cross with that, aren't you? No, not him again. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a long story somewhere with the league, and we need to get into this one. Why Hampshire Academy are doing this, and we're not seeing it absolutely anywhere else, because it does put some complications in, doesn't it? Yorkshire did it a few years ago. It's a good few years ago.
Whether it was Yorkshire Premier League North, Premier League South, one of them. But they've pulled it out, and I don't quite know whether pulled it out. I suspect it's availability with second team games. Most of these guys are playing second team cricket, like you said, Tom. And there's so much cricket. I suppose if the standard's good enough, then do they need the academy team? If these lads are playing Premier League cricket on a week-in basis, then do they need that academy? But it knits the team together, doesn't it? If you're playing week in, week out in a league, in a competitive league, and maybe the under 18s or second team's a bit, there isn't quite that carrot.
It's important to say that some of the ages, they're not all, say, 17. So, you can rock that one weekend as a 14-year-old player, but he's an absolute jet.
Yeah.
You can play some really young lads being thrown massively in the deep end. And it's a real test for them. And some come out looking 10 times a player, and the confidence grows and kind of kicks on from there.
Yeah. It must be nice to see as a player, coming up against these lads and seeing how they improve, and then obviously knowing that quite a chunk of them could go pro.
Yeah. Well, you look at Eddie Jack, for example. You rock up and you see him, and you go, "Oh, okay, that's fine." So some of the boys might be in for a tough day, especially when you get the luxury of playing on academy pitch, which is next door if you've ever been to the GS. And it's pretty much a complete replica of the main pitch. So
it's the best track you play on all year, basically.
Yes, yeah. You struggle to find any better.
I wonder, Hugh, if skippers have any availability issues when those games come through. But I've got a funny feeling skippers choosing from the biggest squad of the season, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, people booking their holiday Monday to Friday rather than Saturday to Saturday. Oh, the flights were cheap.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the Essex League didn't publish their fixtures until very late, which meant people were having to work around it. You can almost see Southern Premier players going, right, when are they going to announce the fixtures? Right, what's that? Right, fixture release date. The next day we're going to book our holidays. We know can't clash with our Hampshire Academy game, can we?
That net session on the Tuesday before is going to be busy, isn't it? Yeah, everyone's going to be down there. Champion for a bat, yeah.
Definitely. Hey, let's look. We've been talking about the Hampshire Academy, but let's just look at those young prospects in the league there, Tom. Give us some names that listeners may or may not have heard of that we should be looking out for on a week-to-week basis.
So you've got lads like Dom Kelly and Eddie Jack, both played England 19s recently, and I believe they're both on rookie contracts. A lad that he is on a rookie contract now, but he spent a long time in the academy, and he's a very, very good player. Is Joseph Eklund. He's also their wicketkeeper. A new one this year is Finn Gordon. He is one to watch out. He's very young, but I think he could have a very strong season. And then I will say, I reckon Connor Smith's come back to us. He's an 18, 19-year-old lad, and he's just had season out in Oz, done very well. So he'll be an interesting one to see how well he does this summer.
One lad that jumped out in the stats, he didn't play very much. Cameron Darawal?
Yes. Yeah, he plays for Livingston.
Played 5 games. Yeah, 5 games for Livingston. 268 runs at 67, a strike rate of 120. Whether he's at public school or, is he not in the Hampshire Academy?
I think if you look into that stat, he didn't get picked for the academy, and then he scored 168 against them.
Is that right?
I think that's,
I
think that's how it went. I might be incorrect, but I know he is kind of the same age as a lot of the academy lads. So he is one to watch, but I'm not overly sure why he didn't play too much.
Yeah. I think he had a busy summer. I suspect possibly his private school and availability, but because just looking at the league as a stats as a whole, last year it was he had one lad right at the top there, Matt Goals. At Burridge, 800 runs. Then the second highest was 450 runs. So there's a big drop off, and I think a lot of there weren't you really struggled last year with getting games played by the looks of things.
Yeah, it was a real struggle last year. I think for the groundsman played a bit.
The weather's looking better this year so far. Now we've got rid of all that horribleness, so hopefully it kicks in.
I think it's quite clear though, isn't it? Burridge won the league last season. Matt Goals being the top run scorer on 822. Joe Collins-Wells being the second top run scorer. He only scored 400 plus. Matt Goals scored twice as many. But interestingly, Matt also had a strike rate of 109. Now, the last person we spoke to had a strike rate at that level was a certain Freddie Fallows up at Kendal. So that's a spectacular strike rate, and that's over 15 innings.
Yeah. Is he coming back? Do we know?
Yeah, he is. He arrived back yesterday, I think, at Burridge. So he is a very good player, and he strikes the ball very well, very clean. It'll be interesting to see if he can recreate it again this year. He scored.
Well, what's interesting about him, I was trying to poke about and find some bits and pieces about him, but there's not a lot out there. I think he's about 27, something like that. And he doesn't seem to have played club cricket in the UK before. I couldn't find that. And he's not really played much pro, but then he's come in and absolutely dominated.
Yeah, he played, I have a feeling he might have played a couple games pro in, I think he's South African. And he just came over and just set everything alight. And I think when we went to Burridge to play them for the first time, he had scored something like well over 50% of their runs. And Joe Collins-Wells, who is a very solid batter and has been for a long time in this SBL, I don't think he'd scored more than 30 in a game at that point. And they just got a lot of momentum towards the back end of the year and just kept it going. They certainly were, a very strong side by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking at the stats. He's one of the most consistent players in the country as well. He's not just hitting big scores. He's contributing every week, 40, 50, 40, 40, 80. Well, it's just every week he's putting numbers up, which is, crucial, particularly with their overseas. You don't necessarily want them getting a 190 in one game and backing it up with 4 noughts, do you? So
we got beat quite convincingly at home against Burridge, where they bowled us out. They've got a very strong bowling line, and then mixed in with Matt Goals, it was kind of their recipe for success. And I think we might have got bowled up to say 110, 120, and Matthew Goals came out and scored 80 quite quickly, and the game's gone.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how he goes coming back.
He's the top overseas pro to look out for in your league, basically.
Yeah, definitely. I reckon there's our overseas Aidan Meyer, who it looks very, very promising. Definitely want to keep an eye on. I think he'll have a very solid season.
Where's he come from?
South Africa as well.
Oh, South Africa.
He played for a little club called Sawley in the Derbyshire League last year. So he's left a promoted side from Div 1 to the Premier League in Derbyshire. He's gone down to Bournemouth. That's the right man, isn't it, Tom?
Yes, that is the one.
Yeah, he's a player. He hits a very long ball, and I'm going to say he's a spinner.
Yes, leg spinner.
Leg spinner, yeah.
Very talented, and probably shouldn't go under the radar with his bowling capabilities as well.
We're obviously a nice chat because he replied to us on Instagram as well. So as soon as I saw that transfer, it was a name that stuck out from last year from the Derbyshire League, because that is our league that Hugh and I are both associated to. So you've also got one of the names that crops up in the bowlers for me that is Archie Fairfax Ross.
Yes, yeah.
That's a talented individual to look after, isn't it?
Yeah, he was on the academy at the time, and it's am I right? He's at South Wilkes, isn't he? Is that right?
Yes, South Wilkes. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be an interesting one. I think he'll probably be taking quite a bit more responsibility this year with a lot of the lads which maybe departed South Wilkes. Mm-hmm. And he can bat as well. So it'll be an interesting summer for him.
Definitely. And what about in the bowlers, Hugh? Anyone stood out for you before we jump elsewhere?
Yeah. The seamer sort of not dominated, but it's certainly the seamers did much better than in other parts of the country. I think I had 2 spinners in the top 10 wicket takers. So it's what is it about the pitches down there that a seamer friend? I would have assumed that seamers maybe won't do so well with the better conditions. Is that a one-off for last year with the difficult summer we had, or is that a theme that runs throughout the league?
I think it is very much a theme that runs throughout the league. There's a lot of pitches which can be left quite green, and especially last year where we had a lot of issues with the weather, it did suit seamers a lot more. I don't think there was any kind of, it varies year on year. I don't think there was. There's been a few years where the seamers have taken over in terms of wickets, but then if you get a good summer and you have a dry summer, you're going to be looking at spinners taking a lot more. So it's pretty even.
And a mate of yours had a bit of a day out last year. Brad Curry, 9 wickets.
I think he only played one game, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, Well, I seem to remember, I think I posted something on my Twitter feed about it, and Dan Goody did him of his 10th wicket. But
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he had a big day out there for Bashley against Lymington, bowling them out for 69, and they knocked him off 3 down. So that was a good win from him. So I take it he's sticking around. He obviously plays for Scotland.
Yeah.
Is he available much?
Scotland and Sussex. So he fluctuates between the two. He's kind of available he'll be here and there. I can't imagine he won't be playing every week.
Yeah, I don't think he's played for Sussex yet this year. Is he playing the sort of Metrobank, those kind of games?
No, mainly T20s and things like that. So okay. So he was involved in he was announced in the Scotland squad for Ireland, their tri-series. So.
Okay.
And he's just came back from Dubai with them as well. So he's had a good winter. So fingers crossed for him as we get through summer. He's a good one.
And you've also got in your league, I think it's fair to say, my favourite named bowler in the entire Premier League. It's Bash Walters, who got 24 wickets last year in the Premier League. Bashiruddin Walters is the full name, from South Africa. What sort of bowler is he? Exactly what his name says. He's a bash, bang, put it in there hard and fast.
Yeah, he's got a lot of skill. I'm fortunate, I suppose, to not actually faced him. But I know a lot of the lads have come off and they've gone, do you know what, that was some spell, that, or I've done well to nick it. So yeah, I think he's got a lot of skill, a lot of experience on his side. So I'd be very surprised to see him not have another good year with Alton. I think it's his 3rd season now with them. So
I think it's his 4th or 5th season there, actually. He's played in the UK for a number of years now, so it's not one of these fly-by-nights that can come in and out, thankfully. And we'll keep an eye out on Bash Walters and see what he does there, because anybody with a name like that, we're going to keep an eye out, and he's going to stand out like a sore thumb, isn't he, for us?
Here in America, work is in trouble. We've offshored our manufacturing, sent away good jobs, and lost so much ability to make things. American Giant is pushing back against that tide. They make high-quality clothing for a summer wardrobe you'll love, all made right here in the USA. Support America's workers and get 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
Okay, so let's have a look through the teams in the league. And the question we like to ask everyone is, it's quite an open-ended question, and it's been answered in various different ways. Who do you think is going to shock one or two this year? Who do you think last year potentially didn't do what they should have? Or is there some shocks at the top still to come?
I think our league is actually very even. I don't think anyone this time last year would have said Burridge to win the league. Mm-hmm. They might have said it within their camp because they may have known, they knew their strength and where their qualities were. I think, I'm always going to say Bournemouth because we've got quite a young side, and we've got a lot. They've all got an extra year now. I'm 24, and I think I was 3rd oldest by the end of the year.
Wow!
So
you old goat.
I know. So we have. You're calling him a goat already. He's a goat already, is he? We're having that.
So
24. Yeah,
I think. It would be interesting to see, it's another year of experience to see how some of the boys do and they cope under the pressure. Mm-hmm. I think a big one will be, Bashley. Bashley had a very poor year for their recent standards and boosting their batting. I think they've got a new overseas this year, so I'm unfamiliar with him, but adding Jack Stearman and Ben Walker back makes a massive difference to that batting lineup.
Yeah.
Jack Stearman's scored a lot of runs in the league, and Ben Walker's done it for many, many years. So.
What about the guys who've come up? I was going to say, what about Basingstoke who've come up? What are they going to do?
I think I made my debut against Basingstoke when the season they went down, and they've had a couple of years in the league below. So I'm not overly familiar with them, if I'm totally honest, but taking George Metzger back from Havant will be massive for them this year. Very good player, and also a very good keeper. So they'll certainly be ones to kind of keep an eye on, because it's a lovely place to play cricket as well. That always helps.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see, because it's always that unknown package maybe with a few of their players that are coming up for the first time.
And you only have one club come up in your league, which is Basingstoke and Northants. Final question that we always like to ask people, and you can sit on the fence or you can just put it out there. Who's going to win it?
It's hard to look past St Cross, but then it's last year. So although Burridge won the league last year, St Cross were a long way ahead going into probably like the last 5-6 games. Right. And then Burridge came in and stole it literally pretty much on the last day. So So Cross will always be up there, but like I said, you just can't guess in our league. I don't think many people have said Burridge would have ran away with it by the end as much as they did. So I'm probably going to sit on the fence, I think.
Where would you be happy for Bournemouth to finish?
I think for our aim is we've got to be pushing as hard as we can this year. We had quite a up and down year last year. We showed glimpses of what we could do. So hopefully, the league table was quite tight. So 1 or 2 more wins probably puts us up into third or fourth area. So but if we get on a roll, I'd like to say we'll be out there.
And you've definitely got one of the highlights of the Premier Leagues around the country. And Bournemouth Cricket Club, for those who aren't familiar of it, I've got some of the best socials out there in the entire country. Now, we keep saying that week in, week out, but it seems to be the type of clubs that we attract. We've spoken very lovingly about our friends at Hornchurch. We had Woodhouse Grange on the other week, Sawston and Babraham from East Anglia. All these clubs have one thing in common. They're really good on their socials. Who's doing that for them, Tom?
It's Ashley Humber. He deserves a lot of credit. He puts a lot of work in, and he was a massive help for me as well, starting what I did as well. So, and not enough credit goes to him and the hard work he puts in. So, well done to him.
And that's why we like to give them a shout out. And he's followed you guys right through the winter with the indoor stuff as well.
Yeah, he comes to training.
Non-stop.
He'll come to training just to take some footage and things like that. So. Yeah, he deserves a lot more credit than he probably gets.
Definitely. So if you want to add a club to the list of clubs you want to keep an eye on, if you're living up in, let's say, the Midlands or the north of England, and you've got your own local team, but you want to look at on the socials, put Bournemouth on your list. Bournemouth are definitely one to look at down in the south, and they do a phenomenal job and stand out on socials week in, week out.
I'm sure it was taking much pride in that. So thank you very much.
Good. That's what we like to. Hey. Thanks for your time, Tom, and a very quick whistle-stop tour around the Southern Premier League. It's not a league that Hugh and I are overly familiar with, I think it's fair to say.
Nope.
There's your answer.
It's fair to say. Yeah.
But, this is what the Premier League cricket show is all about. It's getting for people up in Yorkshire North to start hearing what goes on down south and vice versa. And the feedback we're getting from everyone is they're loving it. They're loving hearing about the clubs all around the country, the performances all around the country. We'll be looking out around your league as well over the coming weeks, clearly.
That's it. And the one thing that jumped out as I was researching this and looking at a bit of video, Alton Cricket Club, there was a steam train going past in the background. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't have got a more picturesque English setting. So that if anything, if you want to go and have a visit, pop down there, get yourself a steam train ride, watch a bit of cricket. Look at that. My dad would be proud of me.
I think there's a bit of a competition down in the Southern Prem for the most beautiful ground, though, isn't there, Tom? There's quite a few.
Yeah, there's a few good ones. You don't mind going to it. As Alton, every time I've been has been cold and wet, but it is nice with the train going. It's always been fun.
You wouldn't mind if it's cold and wet with a steam train going past while he's keeping. He'd completely be lost there, wouldn't he?
I'd be looking over. Oh, what's that? And then whack. Yeah, or drop catch.
Hey, thanks for your time, Tom.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Cheers now.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.